Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now please don't ask why, no one quite knows the reason. It could be that he couldn't sleep in his apartment. It could be that he had to let his brother and his wife share it. But I think the reason of all is because he did not get the Hell in a Cell tickets because his bank account was too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood below the town hating the Who's. And they're hanging their stuff, that's not important. And they're enjoying Christmas. Tomorrow is Christmas. He growled, it's practically here. For tomorrow, he knew, all the Who, girls, boys, transgendered, undecided, and orphans would wake up bright and early, and they would rush for their toys. And then, oh, the noise, coming from their iPods and their Blu-ray players. He wished they would just tone it down. The music was just too loud. Then the Who's, young and old, would sit down to a feast, and they'd feast. They could feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast. And that was something that the Grinch could not just stand in the least. And then they'd do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. And they'd stand hand in hand, and the Who's would start singing. And they'd sing. And the more they're going to start about this Who Christmas sing, the more they're going to start, I must stop this whole thing. Why? For 53 years I put up with it now. I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how? And then the Grinch got an idea. The awful idea. I must stop all of it. I must stop this Christmas thing. So how would the Grinch stop it all? The Grinch got a wonderful idea. An awful idea. The Grinch would build a wall. I know just what to do. The Grinch laughed. I'm going to build a wall between Mount Crumpet and Whoville. And the Who's are going to pay for it. But how would the Grinch make the Who's pay for it? Simple. I will tax the Who pudding. I will tax their roast beef. I will tax all their toys. And they will pay for it without even realizing it. And then the Grinch lost the House of Representatives because he's an idiot in the midterm elections. So, then the Grinch decided, well, I must start building this wall. So, the Grinch decided to go to the Bank of Whoville. At the Bank of Whoville, he uncovered information that the CEO was sleeping with the secretary. He blackmailed the CEO and got the CEO to raise the interest rates on all the Who's, therefore providing the money to build the wall. Then the Grinch said, "Giddy up to Max." He never gets enough screen time, by the way. Max liked the wall, but Max had a better idea. What if I ate the smallest Who before the wall went up? The Grinch said, no, that's a little too jury even for me. We don't eat children. So the sleigh went down the hill. The Grinch said, I have one more thing to do before this wall goes up. I have to make sure that they are miserable on the other side. So he decided to steal all their presents. Then he slithered and slunk around the whole room. He took their pop guns and their bicycles and their roller skates, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorns, and plums, and he stuffed them in the bag. And the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took all the Who's feast. He took all the Who's pudding. He took all the roast beef. They will pay for my wall, or they will starve. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. And now, said the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. And the Grinch grabbed the tree and started to shove. When he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove, he turned around fast and he saw a small who, little Cindy Lou Who, who was no more than 2. But the Grinch thankfully had drafted an executive order, and Cindy Lou Who was separated from her parents for the rest of her natural life. But it's not his fault because he was just following the law. It's just the law. So, but you know, the Grinch said, the law can't be racist. I must separate every Who child of all colors. So all the Who children were stuffed in a sack and stuffed up the chimney. The Grinch escaped from the rest of the houses. Then he did the same thing to all the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses, never mind the fact that he had all the children in the sack. It was 15:15 dawn, and all the Who's were still in the shed, not in the bed now, but in the shed, and he packed up his sled with all the Who's screaming and crying in the big red bag. The ribbons, the wrappings, the tags, the tinsel, the trimmings, and the screaming children, were 3,000 feet up in the air. Up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip top to dump it. Pooh pooh to the Who's, he was joyously humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up, and I know just what they'll do. They'll struggle for air, including Cindy Lou Who, who's no more than 2. I got this. And I'm suffocating for air, said the Grinch. That's a noise I simply must hear. And he paused. And the Grinch, he did hear a sound. It started in low, but it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. The sound was determined. The sound sounded merry. Wouldn't you know? Those immigrants had weapons, and they were cutting themselves out of the Christmas bag. It was very merry. The Who's had escaped. Well, this was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville had gotten out of the sack and picked up the Grinch and threw him off the top of Mount Crumpet. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. He had suffered a severe spinal fracture as he lay at the bottom of the mountain. And then the Grinch thought, with no feeling from the waist down, he lay there puzzling as the blood dripped from his frown. I didn't stop Christmas from coming, and I probably need a wheelchair. So he puzzled for over 3 hours. So his puzzle was sore. Maybe I hadn't have stolen Christmas. Maybe I should have spent this month paying my insurance premiums because I really need that wheelchair. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville, they say the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And that minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight. The ambulance whizzed by and picked him up in the morning light. The ambulance brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he, the Grinch himself, got fixed up at a free clinic because he could not afford his health care premium. The end. I love you all. I dedicate this to all of you. This is to all of us. All of us. I love you guys.